Welcome back to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Lelly. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me for yet another freaking awesome episode. You guys, oh my gosh, I got to have Melissa Holmes on the show today, and she's so incredibly sweet. I love her. She is a person that you want in your corner because she is going to cheer you on and fight for you. Melissa, who was born and raised in Houston, Texas, is an artist and entrepreneur who's forever crafting and learning on purpose. One day she decided to stop hiding and step into truly who she is and created the Ingenious Hustlers, where she assists not only suicide survivors in becoming better in tune with who they really are and inspires them to stop playing at life and live for themselves, but also empowers solo women entrepreneurs to understand their value and get paid their worth through money, mindset, and self-love coaching. She's pushed through her own depression and suicidal thoughts for the majority of her life, and so she knows she's more than qualified to help save a life, which led her to creating the Pick Me Up podcast, Stop Playing at Life. I loved this conversation. Melissa and I have known each other online for the last year. Actually, it's been longer than a year, but we're part of one of the same communities that we met through, and I just had to have her on for you guys. This was her first podcast guest interview, so I am so grateful that she said yes to coming on here. We talk about suicide prevention, the importance of living your life for you, and she just shares her story about how this all came to fruition for her. So hang tight. You guys are going to really want to tune in. Welcome to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm Katrina Lelly, a wife, mom in recovery, certified life and transformation strategist, community cultivator, lover of people, and student of life. Each week, I'll bring you love, inspiration, share the harder things people are afraid to talk about, and guests who are willing to shine their light for you. I give you self-care practices and mindset tips to help you shatter the negative stories you tell yourself. Now is the time to step into the beautiful, loved, whole woman you already are. Let's walk this journey together. Melissa, thank you so much for being here with me and sitting down while we're both sitting down and doing this podcast interview together. I'm incredibly excited to talk to you and get to know you even more. Our paths have crossed in the Mommy Millionaire community, and we're two that have been there in the society since the beginning. And I always love what you're sharing and posting in there. And I was like, I've got to talk to this girl. I've got to have her on my podcast. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy about coming because this is like the first time I've been on a podcast that wasn't mine. So I'm excited about it.
That's truly exciting. You're not nervous, are you?
A little bit. I am a little bit like, okay, what she's going to ask me.
No, it's awesome. It's all good. Just be yourself. I love the conversations that I get to have with women on here. It's truly kind of just like sitting down over a cup of coffee or something and just having a conversation about life and who you are, where you came from. And so just share what you do, where you're at with everybody.
I'm Melissa Holmes, and I'm from Houston, Texas. I live in Tomball, but I'm from Houston, Texas. Right now, I'm a coach. I also own a cleaning service with my husband where we do commercial cleaning. It's a lot of work, but we love it. And I'm pretty much just like want to empower women to be themselves and grow a brand that they can love and live with.
I love that so much. So you've been in the cleaning service. How long have you guys been doing that company?
I started it about 7 years ago.
Okay. And what made you guys start your own company?
Well, I started it on my own because pre-married life, I was just floating around not doing anything. And then I all of a sudden I decided, okay, I'm going to be a housekeeper, like out the blue. And then housekeeper went into, oh, I want to do my own business. And voila, 7 years later, I have a whole cleaning service.
That's incredibly cool. That's super cool because people often dream about, oh, it'd be so great to have my own business. They'll go to work for somebody else, but actually setting out to build their own business, because it takes a lot of work, and you did that. Not everybody's willing to do that. That's so awesome.
Girl, it was hard. Let me just say that. It was hard. I was like, in the beginning, it was like, okay, I'm just going to keep flowing. I'm going to keep working for these people. It's going to be awesome. And then you get to the point where you're like, I could be doing this on my own. I could be bringing all this bread in myself. So I'm like, okay, let me dive into being an entrepreneur. I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was then, though. I was just like, I want to have a business. I want to do this on my own. So I just did.
I don't think any of us who dive into entrepreneurship really knows what it means or what it entails. We're just like, oh, this sounds great. And we get in and we're kind of like, oh, crap.
Okay, now.
But it's all good.
Right. Pretty much.
I love that. So you're also a coach.
Yes.
And tell me the story behind that. What compelled you to become a coach?
Well, I'm a suicide survivor. So like after college, because I couldn't afford to finish college. I went into college just blindly wanting to get away from my family. Mm-hmm. So I just chose the farthest school away from my house, my hometown, which was like 8 hours away, but it was a private school. And I didn't grow up in like a rich house where they could afford for me to go to school. So it's like, okay, now I got into this private school. Melissa's going to have to pay for it. Melissa's going to have to work 3 jobs to continue paying for it. And then I get to my last semester in college, and then it's like, I can't afford to pay the last 15 grand. And it's like, where am I at? What am I going to do with my life now? So I spent 5 years of my life just staying in my mom's house, depressed, like severely depressed. And then one day I just got up and said, you know what? This can't be my life anymore. I can't do this anymore. This can't be my life, or I'm just going to have to take my own life. And yes, I did try before. It didn't work. And I'm grateful that it didn't work, because now I'm at a point in my life where I can help other people not even get there, not even get to the point where they can get there. And that's what rooted me in. Let me start my own podcast. Let me help people be real with themselves so they can live for themselves. Oh, well, now that I've got the podcast, let me just go ahead and help women also have their own bread. Because I believe women should have their own bread and butter.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, I am incredibly grateful that attempt did not work either. I understand where you're coming from. I've been in that space as well, with depression and thoughts of suicide. I've had a rope around my own neck, and it is a deep, dark place to be. And as we know, not everybody comes out of that.
Right.
And so grateful that you did and got up and was like, okay, I'm not living like this anymore.
Right. Thank you.
And now you're inspiring other women to do the same thing.
Yes. And I love it, because everybody has a right to live. It's so many people who don't believe so, but I love telling people that. Like, I always have people in my DMs like, why are you doing this? Like, because you deserve to live. And I can be that one person who'll tell you deserve to live.
You do. You're here for a reason.
Right. We all are.
So you were in that deep, dark space in your mom's house in college. Were you able to figure out how to finish college and pay for that last piece?
I did, but then I didn't even want to go. Because I like went to college having fun. I got a degree. Well, I didn't get my degree, but I studied art because I was good at it. So it's like, now in my life, I'm like, I don't even care about getting a degree. What do I need the degree for? Like, what's the point? I'm going to go spend another $15,000 for what? For me to still not use it?
Well, I love that, because how many people go to college and they don't even end up using the degree that they have?
Exactly.
So you work with women through self-love coaching. Talk a little bit more about, the importance of this self-love movement and that deserving to live. And especially right now, we notice there's a rise on suicide rates are high through this thing.
Very high.
Crazy. And so we need your voice. Absolutely.
I don't know. I always lead with, if you wasn't here, who's going to take your place? Because, I mean, there's literally only one you. There's nobody who can replace you. Not even if you had a twin, there's nobody who can replace you. Mm-hmm. So if you lead with waking up every single day and living for yourself and being here, because you can help so many other people. Everybody has talents, even hidden talents they don't know about, they can help somebody else. So I feel like when people take their own lives, they're taking away themselves, saving somebody else. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I get what you're saying.
You have so many reasons to live, and you being the first, number one, main reason, yourself. Mm-hmm. But I feel like so many people don't even know what self-love is. Like they don't even know some people will look in the mirror and be thinking, I need to tell myself I love you. But that's not what self-love is.
What is self-love then? What do you tell them?
Self-love to me is having boundaries, being able to say yes or no to things that will either be positive on your life or negative on your life. And being able to actually say no. If you know it's going to be negative in your life, you're going to have to be able to speak it, not just think it, because a lot of people live in their heads. Mm-hmm. I was a subject of that for many of years after, when I was in my depression stage, where I just lived vicariously in my head. And learning to communicate is like a defining thing with self-love. Communication with yourself, within yourself, and even with everybody else.
So after you made that decision that you wanted to live your life, what did you go do? How did you get this knowledge of this self-love and this mindset work? How did that manifest for you?
I don't even think I even listen to I listen to podcasts now. I'm like frequent flyer. But back then, I just lived vicariously through my love novels, like romance novels. I was a junkie. So I would literally read a romance novel and place myself as the girl in the book. And I would live literally in my head like that for so long. But to me, it was fun. Because I was like creating this own fantasy that was my life, but it wasn't real. So when I decided, okay, Melissa, you're going to have to get out of here, I completely left my mom's house. I didn't even have money. I didn't even have a bank account. I just got up. I put myself on Craigslist and was like, okay, I'm going to be a housekeeper. I'm going to be a living housekeeper. I moved miles away from my house. I didn't even have a car. I was like, I just need to do a total 180. That's what I did. I literally put myself in a whole new environment. I started working on myself. I started doing I didn't even know it was called mirror work back then, but I would look in the mirror and I would talk to myself. I started working on my posture. I started working on how I looked. I was just like, okay, Melissa, we're going to get into a space where you're going to wake up every single day and you're going to be in love with yourself. And I just focused every single day until I just got there. And I did sign myself up for counseling. I'm proud to say I'm a counseling type of person. So many Black women and Black families, we don't believe in counseling. I'm an advocate for counseling because when I was in my lowest lows, it was good to have somebody to talk to. That wasn't in my family because I couldn't talk to them. I've never been able to talk to them. But being able to sit on somebody else's couch and somebody to listen to me and not judge me, it was everything. So counseling, I'm an advocate for counseling.
I love that. Counseling is so good. It helped me get through some rough times in my childhood and even back when I was still actively drinking. And you are like the definition of you did what everybody else won't do, because everybody else feels like they need information first, but you just went and did. Mm-hmm. You just went and did. And it was the action that built this sustainability for you, that this confidence that you have, this like knowing that you have, when there's so many people out there who are in their heads thinking, oh wait, I still need to learn how to love myself. I still need to learn why I'm worthy. I still need to learn. And it's in the doing, and you just went and did. And I love that so much.
Well, when you don't have time to, when you want to live and your only other option is to die, then you don't have time to play games.
I love it. You're like, let's cut through the BS. We're just going to get down to the root, and we're going to do something about this. And I spent a lot of time in that overthinking, thinking I needed more information. If I took another course, if I did another thing, when I had everything, we all have everything that we need within us. We don't always believe it, but if you build that belief, like you shared, like looking in the mirror, dressing up, taking care of yourself, that's building that belief. Those are the little steps that people think are not even going to work or not even important. And those are the most important things. It's not the big leap from here to the job that your dream job. It's the little steps in getting there.
Right. It was.
I love that so much. And again, good on you for counseling, because that's one of the things I love about, getting to talk with women on this show, in my work. And what I talk about all the time is we have to speak up. We have to have somebody to talk to go to. That's why it's important to go to counselors, go to therapists, hire coaches, get involved with groups of women who are open and vulnerable, and people who are willing to speak up and share their stories, because that's how we know we're not alone in this, and there's hope. You're providing hope to so many people by sharing your story.
I hope so.
Guaranteed. I mean, you've already got, I'm like over here going, oh, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. Because not everybody survives.
This is true. It drives me crazy when I see like on the news and I see one more person died. I'm like, I could have helped that person. Like if they could have just spoke to me, I could have helped that person. That's why it drives me every day to wake up and do what I need to do. Because it's like, you could be helping somebody live tomorrow.
Absolutely. So what are you working on right now? You're in your coaching. What are you working on to grow that and reach more people?
Right now, I'm just working on like growing my Facebook group. I just started a Facebook group.
Yay! That's fun.
It is, but being a newbie at Facebook groups, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, okay, but I'm just gonna do it.
That's what, I love that. I love that. You're just going to do it. And the people will come. Facebook groups are very interesting. I have my own Facebook group too. And there's not a lot of feedback in there that comes up. But if we just keep showing up, the people are going to show up for us. That's my belief, As long as I keep showing up, they're going to show up for me too.
That's great.
Yeah. And I always think about how many times do you run into somebody and they're like, oh my God, I love what you shared the other day. And you had no idea that they were a person who even pays attention to anything you're doing.
Right. Because I say that all the time on my podcast. I'm like, I don't even know if anybody's listening. I know people do. But I always say, I don't even know if anybody's listening right now, but I'm just going to go on with it.
I love it. Just do it messy, do it scared, do it whatever, because that's how action is what creates that change. And if you're in that dark space, in that where you feel like you can't go on another day, get up and reach out to somebody, or at least, call somebody. You don't even have to tell them what's going on, but just that connection breaks that thought pattern. And it might give you that little bit of hope and inspiration to go on another day.
Right. Because I feel like when you're on your own and it's like you're in like a cave and there's like no light anywhere. And when you're not connecting with people, it's like the little light that was in the cave is just slowly diminishing. So when you connect to somebody, you open that light and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it helps you get better at living. And people don't never understand me when I say get better at living, but living is a chore. It's work. You have to work at living because there's so many people who are just floating around doing nothing. Literally. Wake up, go to work, go back to sleep. Wake up, that's not a life. That's why we have to create the lives that we want and walk in them.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. It's true. We have been conditioned to be in this like victim mindset or entitled mindset where we just need to sit back and let things come to us. And that's not how it works. A quality life. And once you start taking those steps, it gets easier. Then something new comes along that you want, and it feels like another hill. And it's like, it's okay. It's a part of the journey.
Right. And it's the cycle of life.
Yeah, exactly. I love that so much. Well, I am so incredibly grateful that you agreed to come on. I'm so glad that this is your first podcast.
I'm grateful you had me. I'm so thankful. You have no idea. I'm happy you asked me.
Oh, absolutely. Is there anything that you want to share? Anything that's left on your heart that you want to tell the audience?
Live for you. I always part with that. Live for you. Have a life for you. Put you first. Because what is the point of having a life if you're not going to do that?
I love that. And I'm going to say yes to all of it. It's not selfish to live for you.
Right. It's not.
Not to. Live for you so you can live for others.
Right.
So good. Well, tell everybody where we can find you.
You can find me in the Solo Women Entrepreneurs Facebook group or on my Instagram at Got to Love Mel. I hope you put in the show notes because it's complicated.
Yep, it'll be in the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. I loved having you here.
Thank you.
Wait, don't stop listening yet. Just as we are, fam, I so appreciate my listeners. And you know what would be so incredibly awesome? Is if you just took a few moments, headed on over to iTunes, and left me a 5-star review of the show. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with your communities. Tag me at Katrina Lelly. My message, my mission doesn't get out there without your help. Until next time.